I'm Mara of Time with Mara times 5. Um, I wanted to get on today to talk about my ECV experience. So an ECV is an external cephalic version. So what that is when they physically turn the baby from a breech position into birthing position. Um, So I had that done when I was about 37 weeks because my baby was a butt breech baby. So her butt was in my pelvis for delivery and head was at the top. Um, and feet were up with the head. Um, so I wanted to get on a little bit and talk about that. When I was 37 weeks along, I had that done. And the reason why it was done was um, to get me ready for birthing, but there were a lot of health risks that were involved with that procedure, such as tearing the placenta away from the uterine wall, putting me into an early labor, um, me needing an emergency C-section in case of the placenta wall being torn, and so forth and so on. Those are just some of the main concerns that I had. Um, so um, I had that done when I was 37 weeks along. In case anything like that happened to me, I was considered full term. Um, so there would be no increased increased risks to our baby. Um, so my procedure was scheduled for me to come in at 12 o'clock and it be done around 1, 12 o'clock so I can get paperwork and things done. Um, I was there around 12 and got paperwork done. And then I had to wait. Now, I was told not to eat before the procedure, not even to drink water. So, being still pregnant and unable to eat anything, and it's going on lunchtime, was hard. So, as you can imagine, I was very, very, very hungry. Um, so my husband was there with me. We he drove me in. We were supposed to both work that day, and I called my supervisor since this was happening before my scheduled procedure. I said my scheduled procedure was happening before I had to start my shift because my shift started at 2. My husband had to be at work by 3. So we were both there. Um, 2 o'clock came. I still had not had my procedure yet. I still had not been able to eat anything, not even a cracker and a cup of juice, nothing. Um, so I told my husband, go ahead to work. He just had to go like a floor below us to get to work. But I told him I would call him when the procedure was about to start. So I was still there. 5 o'clock rolled around, still had not eaten, not even a cracker or a juice or anything. So I was starving. So they started to bring in things for my procedure to start around 6. Um, so they brought in an ultrasound team. There were 2 nurses working the ultrasound. What they were looking for was the umbilical cord not being wrapped around the baby's neck or body parts or stuff like that. And 2, they were watching my uterus to make sure nothing was tearing. And they were monitoring my baby and my heart rate and blood pressure. Um, and then there were 2 additional nurses and my midwife who came in and they lubricated my stomach up with that cold jelly. They lubricated my stomach up. Um, and they put the ultrasound on it to find baby's head, umbilical cord, placenta wall, where baby's bottom was or what was in my pelvis. And so when the nurses found what was in my pelvis, one of the other nurses that came in put her hands there. The other nurse put her hands at the top. and my midwife felt for baby's torso to make sure everything was in place and to monitor me. So when they found out where every piece was, the nurse at my pelvis dug her hands into my pelvis to pull my baby out. Now, that was very, very, very painful. I was unable to get anything for pain. I was unable to move. All I could do was scream. Now, I did plan to have a natural birth, unmedicated natural birth. So I did go on and have my baby naturally. I'm going to post the video to that effect also at a later time, but I wanted to speak on this because this does happen quite a bit. But I did go on to have my baby naturally without medication, without complications after the ECV. So this was all good for me, but this was very traumatic for me. So back to the procedure, the nurse reached in my pelvis and pulled the baby out with her gloved hands, and the nurse at the top dug her hands, like, let me see if I can show you. Kind of messed up there. Okay, so she dug her hands like this into my stomach to get the baby's head, and dug her hands like this into my pelvis to get baby's bottom out. So I screamed. I hollered. Tears were falling. This was excruciating. Like nothing that had ever happened to me compared to that. This was my fourth baby. So I had experienced labor. I had experienced birth. I had experienced afterbirth, contractions, all of that. None of that compared to me to the pain of having someone physically reach into your stomach on the outside without medication, without general anesthesia, and pull. That was painful. They went through slowly pulling. So someone at the bottom would push the baby's hips this way, and somebody at the top was pulling it this way, and it was very slow, excruciating. It just moved like freaking snails. Like, that's no exaggeration. It moved very slowly. It was very painful, very, very, very painful. So I went through that. They got the baby into place. So baby's head was in the birthing canal, which is the birthing position. And they gave me an abdominal binder that stretched across my belly with Velcro to kind of snug baby into place, keep her there so she wouldn't flip. And I was given the okay to bounce on my my yoga ball to make sure she stayed in place. I was kept in the hospital after that procedure was done for about an hour for observation because I did start to have contractions. But I did not have baby. I went on to 39 weeks and 3 days. I'm sorry, 4 days when I had the baby. But I was 37 weeks during this procedure. So I did have contractions, and I could not drive. They told my husband I would be able to drive and I would be able to do this, that, and the third, and I was unable to do anything. I was shaking, physically shaking from pain. I was still crying after the procedure because my body was that sore. This was some of the worst pain I have ever felt. So if you have to get a procedure done and you are watching this video, I'm not saying this to scare you, just to get you to brace yourself because it is painful if you're having it done without medication. It is very painful. So I my husband drove me home after the procedure, and I literally just laid down. I My husband picked up something for dinner so we could eat dinner. My husband had to go back to work. Um, so I was okay. We have four daughters. I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but we have four daughters. So this was my first ECV experience. Um, so our oldest daughter was able to help us, will help me rather with the younger ones, which was a big help. My oldest is a awesome help. She's an awesome big sister, an awesome daughter. Um, so I went through that procedure done, and I was unable to go to work after that procedure. One, I had been there from before the time my shift started until about 2 hours before my shift was to end. So there was no reason for me to go to work for 2 hours. There's no reason. And I worked as an anesthesia technician. Um, so yeah, that entails a great deal. I'm gonna do a video on my previous job and my current job, um, just so y'all can get to know me. But that was my ECV experience. It was very traumatic for me. It was very painful for me. Um, and like if I needed to get it done, if it was for the health of my baby's safety, I would definitely do it again. But it was very painful, and that's something I will always remember. So do not try to do this by yourself. Have somebody there with you, whether it's your mom, your partner, um, your best friend, somebody that's supportive, that's there to hold your hand, because you will need somebody definitely if you're getting it done without medication. But if you can get it done with medication, it's a breeze. I'm sure there's plenty of videos posted of people that got it done with medication, but mine was definitely without medication, something that I will never forget. But if you would like to see more videos like this, from my medical everything, please be sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell so you can get updates for me when I post videos. I'm trying to grow my page. It's free to like and it's free to subscribe. But I'm planning on doing a giveaway when I hit 10,000 subscribers. So be sure to share and get people to subscribe so that your name can be in my drawing for one of two gifts for when I hit the 10,000 subscriber mark. I'm doing a gift for most comments that I get from one commenter. And I'm not talking about the ABCD thing. I'm talking about like comments on my actual video topic. And I'm doing a comment for people who can get the most subscribers to me. But again, it's free to subscribe. But thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. And I hope to see you on my next video. Thank you. Bye.